Welcome, guys. This is Southern Belle 74, and we're doing our review of episode 4 from Love and Hip Hop's Couples Retreat. Let's get into it. This episode is entitled Miss Sixth Sense, and it picks up where episode 3 left off, where they're reflecting on the second date. As an exercise, AJ had them recreate their very first dates. Um, so each couple was talking about what happened. I think what stood out for me was Raymond and Delicious. Remember, Raymond fell asleep on her, so they didn't get the hot, fiery night that they were supposed to. In the other couples, I think Yandy had a good time. Her and Mandisi had a good night, and Kirk and Rashida had a good night, and even Ray J and Princess had a good night. So it was um, Delicious and Raymond, and they just have some things that they need to work on. And Michael Blackson is going to be doing a comedy show to end the end of the evening for them. Um, so Ryder does her confessional, and in her confessional, she shares that she feels like she's going to end up having to leave Michael in order for him to realize what a good woman that she is to him. You know, she was doing some self-reflection, and remember, she had shared in the beginning that they had broke up right before, and so she was just saying how you're about to miss out on a good thing if you don't get your act together. And then Princess and Ray J in their confessionals, they're really, really having some breakthroughs, which is so good because in the beginning, those first two episodes, I thought they were going to end up having to leave early because they just were not getting along. But they're having some breakthroughs, which is good. And the big thing is communication. They're talking to each other. So that's the big thing. Um, okay, so at brunch, Yandy brings out a medium. That was her title. I guess that's a minister slash medium is her title. Lakara is her name. So she comes and joins them at the brunch. Everybody's sitting eating, and then she discusses what it is that she does. Um, so everybody's looking around the room like, oh my goodness, we finally thought we were going to just have nice brunch, as couples, and here comes another person of interest. And so, but that's when things took a turn and they got really serious. She was sensing something was going on, and she says that she works through the spirit, and energy is what she works off of. And so she said she was feeling some energy coming from Kirk and Rashida, and she asked them, did they lose a child? And in that instant, Rashida looked at Kirk, and Kirk looked at Rashida, and she just started breaking down. And she said before Rashida got up to leave, because she was starting to get real emotional, she told her that, don't worry, the baby's with Kirk's mother up in heaven. And that really broke Rashida down. She just had to get up from the table and go. And of course, Kirk went to check up on her. And I had no idea. I never had no idea that she had lost a child. And so, Kirk goes and reassures her, tells her, it's going to be okay, and it gives him peace. I could tell that it gives him peace to know that the baby is with his mother up in heaven. And because that was one of the first questions she asked was, did someone recently lose a mother or a grandmother? And it was Kirk, who had recently lost his mother. So they get themselves together and they come back to the table. And then she says, I'm feeling some energy coming from you, Princess. And Princess is looking like, okay. And she said, did you also lose a child? And so she looks at the medium like, how did you know that? And Princess shared with them, yes. She said before she had even met Ray J, she was involved with someone else. She got pregnant, and at her 8-month mark, she lost the child. And I was like, whoa, Um, and so she got really emotional. I could tell something was going on with her because when the medium was talking to Kirk and Rashida at the table, she immediately started getting teary eyed. And I mean, she was weeping. So I was like, okay, something else is going on with your princess. And come to find out, she experienced the same thing that Rashida did. Like I said, this episode to me has thus far has been the most emotional one. And of course, Ray J, you could tell that he really doesn't believe in the medium. Uh, he doesn't believe that they exist. He doesn't believe in that stuff. So he was just like, his outtakes were hilarious. He was like, "Lady, you about to turn this brunch into something else." What was also very interesting was Michael Blackson. He was like, "Hey, look, in my native land, we call them witch doctors. We don't play with them. We stay away from them. They can put curses and things on you." So she got up and she was like, "Well, thank you guys, Mrs. LaCara." She got up and she said, "Thank you guys for having me. But before I go, can I have a word with you, Michael and Ryder?" And so she pulls him off to the side. And this is when it gets juicy, guys. She asked him, she was like, "I'm feeling some energy from you." And so she discussed with them the relationship. And so Ryder asked the medium, she said, "Do you think our relationship's going to last?" And she said, "It does. But Michael's got to be the one to do the changing." And so she also shared with you, she said, "I'm feeling something from you." And so Michael shared with her that Ryder is pregnant. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what?" Like I said, that was a shocker of the evening for me. So he said, "We're keeping it hush hush. We don't want a lot of people to know." And I can understand that too, because in those early stages, you have to be very careful. Because if something happens and you're going to get devastated if you told the whole world, "Hey, we're pregnant," and then if she loses, God forbid that were to happen. But I see why a lot of times people wait until later trimesters into pregnancy before they announce it, because they want to make sure, they get into a place where um, the baby's good and all that good stuff. So they go back to the table and it's still hush hush. The rest of the couples don't know what's going on, but they were kind of suspecting, like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then what was so crazy was um, Kirk, him and Ray J have the craziest friendship. So they're talking at the bar, and and so Ray J shares with Kirk. He's like, "Hey man, have you brought up?" Kirk asked Ray J, "Have you brought up the lingerie? Remember, um, Ray J was being nosy going through Princess's luggage, and he saw that she had brought lingerie." So Kirk was like, "Oh, I regret even asking you," because as soon as he said it, Ray J was like, "I'm gonna ask her," and he was like, "No, no, no. Things are going good with you guys. Y'all in a good place. You don't want to ask her that right now because that might make things, go left again." So it was so crazy. Um, it really was. It tickled me all the way to pieces. Um, so after that, uh, so Ray J walks back to the table where Princess is, and Kirk is looking like, "Oh my goodness, she finds out that if Princess finds out that I'm the one that told you to go to ask about the lingerie, she gonna be looking at me sideways." That moment was so cute. And then AJ has a one-on-one meeting with Raymond, and they're talking about once again how Delicious is the alpha female in the relationship, and how their love life is kind of fizzled after they got married. And I can see in Raymond, he's such a calm soul, but I can tell that he's really getting frustrated, and I feel like it's a communication thing with him and Delicious. I feel like he really has not told her honestly how he feels, and I think out of the sake of don't want to start an argument, don't want um, chaos and confusion in the home, he'd much rather just kind of keep his feelings in check out of sake of her. And I think that's where people go wrong when it comes to communication. When you hold back, that's telling the other person that the way that they're acting and carrying on is okay. Check it. Check that stuff at the gate. Say, "Hey, look, I don't like the way that you talk to me. I don't like the way that you're treating me." Um, and tell me what it is that you want. And so that's what AJ was saying to him. She was like, I'm going to give you some tools to help you communicate to Delicious. Hey, look, I am a man, so, don't minimize my feelings or make it seem like I'm not bringing the sparkle back into our relationship. And AJ pointed out some very valid points during that time with her one-on-one with Raymond. She was saying stress is a big factor and stress can affect you. And she was just saying that that could be a big part too. When you're carrying around a lot of stress, it can really affect your relationship. So I thought that was really, really good. Now at the end they did a roast, of course. They had the comedy show with Michael, and oh my God, his some of those jokes was a little rough. Of course, he went off on everybody, but it his comedy can sometimes be cringy. So I've watched several of his comedy shows myself, and it's just like I would hate to be in the audience at any of his shows because he shows you no mercy. All right, and that was it. That's where it ended. Next week, the previews for next week looks like it's going to get good, more intensity. I think more tough questions and more getting more personal and digging into the relationships is going to come on the next episode. I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys do too. Please check out Love and Hip Hop Couple Retreat. I think you'll really enjoy this. It's a more serious of the reality shows. The tone of it is more serious compared to the normal Love and Hip Hop. Okay, guys, I appreciate your support. If you like what you've heard, if you like what you see on my channel, please let me know. Hit that subscribe button, like it, and share it. You guys have a great rest of your weekend.